Okay, so we are back again. We went for a short break and we are back again. We are talking about something very important for the MPP. Something that will define, to a very large extent, how they perform in the 2024 elections. Already they have an uphill task. But then if you get a good running mate, that person will complement you, will give you what you require to cross the line. Hopefully, as Bawumia proved in 2016, right?
16, yeah.
16. He really came into his own. He really helped the president, deal with all the salvos that was coming. He was taking the shield. He became the shield and taking the salvos. And then the president went through. He is now having to make that decision.
And I'm saying that, Evans, I mean, first of all, even before we get into who gets to make it and who doesn't make it, I think that Bawumia had a chance yesterday to just, if in other words, just kill this, as in name your choice, and that's the end of it. Unless we're probably not being told the truth, unless he probably presented a name and the party rejected the name. But what we're being told by the party is that he's asked for more time. Now, when you ask for more time, you're asking for more trouble. I say more trouble because you're asking for more lobbying. People now begin to...
Or intensification
of the lobbying. Yeah. Because I like that word.
That means I can work.
Intensification.
You're not sure.
You
need to be
more people will be kneeling before him.
Yeah, I mean,
if you know what I mean.
More pictures, I know. Mm-hmm. So, and that's for me is the point at this moment. Because once you're unsure, it means I can still change your mind. If you're unsure, I can still change your mind. I mean, because of what the party...
It's also possible that he's sure, but he wants to consult broadly. At least the party says, officially, they told us yesterday that he says he wants to consult.
Yeah, but
so maybe he's sure. He just wants to ensure that he gets everybody.
And that is why I'm saying, unless the party is not telling us the truth. I wasn't in that meeting, okay? I wasn't in that meeting. I haven't picked a lot of intel about the meeting because I also have, I felt that he could have just done that. But if the party is telling us the truth, because others are beginning to say he went in there and presented a name, and the party says, oh no, and so he says, then give me time to go back and prepare and come up with another name. But if that was the case, fine. But what I do know, for instance, is that for Vice President Bawumia, he seems to have a choice. But if you ask for more consultation, you're asking for, as Raymond would say, intensification of the lobbying. And that's not what you need at this moment.
Okay.
What you need is just to tell us who that person is going to be, so that people will stop kneeling, people will stop doing all manner of things in front of you, people. Because, you see, you're making people do all manner of things just because they want to catch
But you see, if it is a name that you had suggested, you didn't mention the person, but, you'd give us a lot of innuendos to sort of get a sense of who that person is. And we will list all of us will go through our list and tell us who is in, who is out pretty shortly. But that's the reason why we're here. If it's that person, he needs more consultation, trust me. If it's that person, he will need to convince a lot of people in the end. You disagree?
I agree with you. There are some choices, right? When you make, it's easier for people to understand and appreciate and get along with. There are other people too. The expression, popular expression, you go explain tire, will be the thing. Your people have to be out there, justify first to your inner caucus, then to the rest of the country, consistently talking about it. But our politics is sometimes funny. The appearance outside might not be the reality within. You get my point? Mm-hmm. The appearance outside, some people can be on every single radio station, pay every single party member to be singing their praise, when they, in reality, are very far from an ideal candidate for the position. But you will be forced, because of the pressure that will be mounted on you, and mindful of where you are coming from, to make that kind of choice. So if your choice comes out of a grouping, and that's what I suspect it might be happening now, if your choice comes out of, I consulted this group, that group, and that group, and we came to the consensus that this one, even though I personally might have had the intention of going with this person, this other grouping helped me. Do you know what that does to you? You are shielded from the people who lose out, saying, okay, after all, you take your party, let me sit in my corner, I will not campaign, I will not. Because what Dr. Bawumia himself and his team and his people have ended up creating is making it look like every prominent Ashanti politician is qualified for this position.
So let me get what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that he could have just opened it up and said, he would choose a running mate and not necessarily say from the Ashanti region.
Yes, nobody should.
I agree with you. Yes.
And you could hear them when they say, "Oh, but you necessarily choose from this area."
No.
When did that become a big issue? In any case, those days when they chose the southern candidate, it was so broad that they say, "Oh, obviously the person might be coming from the north of this country, may even be Muslim." That one, it is too broad. But when you narrow it to the region, and the people start fighting among themselves, planting stories and doing whatever it takes to actually make the other look bad, you are creating animosity in the place you don't want to offend people. And all of the groups you have, they are their constituencies. So now how to make sure you select one and still keep the rest of their constituents together is the problem.
Now here's the thing. Whatever happens, many of them will be disappointed.
Yes.
Because only
but some
one.
disappointments can lead to you just joining the campaign.
Exactly.
And that disappointment can use you see what you can do.
Why are many going to be disappointed? Many are going to be disappointed because now they say the consensus is it must come from the Ashanti region. So if you are a popular politician from the Ashanti region, then you say, hey, Miss Mitch made the vice president. Exactly. But you see, but if we had said, oh, we will choose a Southerner, and everybody would have known that, oh, choosing a Southerner
is a broad one.
Is a broad one. And I've had discussions with people of the NDC, very top persons in the NDC who have said that in this country called Ghana, you cannot go into an election without having an account on your tickets. These are some NDC personalities. They say, so whatever happens, and at the time they were having conversations about John Mahama, for instance, and whether he should choose an Acquah running mate. Yeah. And they said, no, the running mate must be from the Acquah group, because that will be very important. And I'm saying that, and when you do that, so if Bawumia had said, for instance, and mind you, if Bawumia had said, for instance, okay, his running mate will be an Acquah, those from the Western region will lobby. Central will lobby.
No, but let's be fair. Has Bawumia said his running mate is going to be from Ashanti?
No, he has not said that.
Yes, but
hold on.
But there's
Joe Wise. Joe
Wise is not.
He told you.
He said it.
Has the party disputed that?
No, so he said it. Sami Wuku confirmed it.
Thank you.
Right, but they are both not.
Who is Sami?
Who is Sami Wuku? A leading member of the Bawumia campaign.
You say leading member.
That's what he wants to be referred to.
Oh,
campaign director. He was the campaign director.
Emma was basically in charge of affairs.
So when he says,
I think internally, everybody knew that. That's
but that's why I'm saying that they must. You see, this is the problem. What top problem, Amano? You go and buy problem for yourself.
And it was from the earlier part where he had to convince people that come and support me.
Yeah.
That there's a prospect of we all making it together. That convincing, it may include that conversation that even you're a potential.
No, but I get the sense, and I don't know this for certain, but I get a sense that in the course of his campaign, he may either have, if not explicitly, suggested to people throughout the way he related to them that you are a serious candidate. He may have, because there are people who actually feel entitled.
Yeah,
no, because
and
the way
doing a lot.
The way he kept going to the Ashanti region.
Backwards.
The way he kept going to the Ashanti region.
Also remember that MPP, was it national conference in Ashanti?
In Ashanti region, yeah.
When he walked in, and all the Ashanti MPs were following him.
Yeah.
There was somebody who mobilized that team.
Was that Raymond?
Exactly. Why do you think that he did that?
He's going all out for him.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to him recently. He did not deny the rumors. He just says, let the vice president make a choice. If you compare his answer to somebody like Joe Wise was emphatic. Yeah, I mean, I'm off the table. I just want to go and enjoy my life.
Oh, but Joe Wise would want to be.
But that was a smarter answer, I believe, and because in this case, as somebody rightly said, when you actually campaign and you put yourself out there, most often than not, you don't get it. Let's look at the history of running mates in this country. Let's look at the history of running mates. Who thought that, may he so rest in perfect peace, Professor John Evans Mensah will become Rawlings' running mate? Who thought that Bawumia was going to be running
mate?
Even
Aliu Mahama.
I'm listening. Okay. Aliu Mahama. Who thought that your good old professor at UCC,
I was shocked,
was going to become John Mahama running mate? Who thought that Mr. Arthur was going? In fact, the only person who was actually speculated was John Mahama.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
before he was.
Yeah, it was John Mahama,
because in 2004 his name was out there. People said he didn't accept it. I don't know how true that is. And so by 2008, when his name came up again, and in 2008 at the time you heard of even Betty Moldy-Drisu, John Mahama, and Mohamed Mumuni, who was a 2004 running mate. So that's the point.
So
You're
there's a
very right.
long history of running mate selections of people who were not actively out there, their names were not part of the list, who actually got the nod. And for me, that answer that he gave was a smarter one, because you know, just say I'm not interested, and then you get it. Now let's go to the main point now. With that then, you know, in the background, everybody should give me your top 5. In no particular order.
Okay.
Then we'll come to, out of that top 5, who you think stands the best chance of getting it. Your top 5.
I'll say Evans Mensah.
Okay.
Joseph Osei. Then the way he disapproves of my number 2, but clearly Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Number 4, Reverend Professor Opoku Nyina. Then the last one is the candidate, the dark horse in the race, Kwabena Japan. You know, I almost said Kennedy Japan.
Me too.
Yes,
I say that sometimes.
Yeah, you know, now that we are mentioning,
No particular order.
yes, in no particular order. But you see, when you finish now, people who have not been in the fray all this while get into the fray, and it becomes another issue. Because so in no particular order, and now I'm going to throw out a name that will create a lot of issues.
Making Winston stay and repeat the yes.
Preamble. What is a long preamble?
No, I'm just saying that, you know, based on the analysis we've done, now if we throw in that name, then it becomes another problem. So I probably may leave it out.
Because we said that if you are not campaigning,
yes, you know,
okay,
but you know, so I don't want to
get
put some people's name out and then it becomes a problem for you. Say
this is state of play.
You are the reason I wasn't chosen as running mate.
Since when did you become shy on state of play? Tell us.
I don't want the case to see the reason why I didn't get a running mate kind of thing. Kwabena Japan. Osechi Evans Mensah. Joe Wise. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Between Edutrum and John Kuma.
Edutrum is also a good appointment.
Edutrum.
I mean, I don't think Opoku. I mean, I don't think that Bawumia has to bring in that thing about Opoku Nyina. You know, this whole thing about Opoku Nyina.
In fact, I will say Opoku Nyina. No particular order. No particular order. Opoku Nyina. Napo. Joe Wise. Osechi Mensah. I'll actually throw in the John Kuma. I'll throw in the John Kuma. Of course, there was one name I didn't have in mind that both of you had in yours, which is Kwabena Japan. We'll talk about him later as a dark horse. Okay, so now justify.
The people
justify,
or the dark horse.
Yeah, no, justify your list.
Oh, okay, so ostensible
and tell us
ostensible running mates.
Which of them stands the most chance?
Ostensible running mates. Ostensible running mates. Straight fight between the majority leader and the energy minister.
Okay.
Why is it so? If there was any two set of groups that have been campaigning and pushing around, going heaven and earth, deploying all the resources available to them, deploying whatever they could do on this earth to try and make sure that they get the slot, even though they don't say it, it is these two. And again, they have so much support that sometimes as if they are fighting in the region for attention and for recognition for the things that happen in the region. I hope you get what I'm trying to say. And that makes them, at first, many would have said, hey, Napo, I see, very interesting. But now you cannot say that again. He is rumored to have support of chiefs. He is rumored to have support of royals. He is rumored to have support of the Ashanti caucus in ways, as I'm talking about the MPP in the Ashanti region, in ways that others do not have. Because Napo has been instrumental in some people even going to parliament. He has been instrumental in some people getting their regional or national executive positions. So it makes sense that he has that kind of support wherever you go around, especially since they started narrowing it down to the Ashanti region alone. So as for Napo, a lot of good things going for him. The only difficulty is that anybody that pierces that veil comes to an understanding that he might not be the ideal candidate. That's why they cannot manage it. What's in the public domain and what, after serious review, produces the candidate qualified and competent now to do the job, that is where they have a difficulty with him. So if Napo is winning, he may not win because he is the best of the people. Perhaps he started this adventure very early and are planned and prepared for it. So has a lot of things going well for him. Osei Mensah Boso's, on one hand, parliamentary leadership is what's pushing him big time. On the other hand, it might also be his Achilles heel. You know that, right? Yeah. It might also be his biggest problem. But then again, Osei Mensah Boso has shown temperamental wise and everything to show that he's the kind of person who can bridge or reach across to reach consensus. He isn't a very pretty politician, mindful of what he does in politics. So he's the kind of person you'd want to bring a steady hand to the vice presidency. And he's one kind of person you want to look out for. As for Reverend Onyina, it is the religious card that is his trump card. But as to whether or not that will be played out big time in this election is an interesting point. Some have also suggested that it is also the integrity card that he carries out big time along. Even though politicians, we raise them and create problems for them. They say if you want to know where your great-grandfather was buried, when you enter the politics, they will dig the grave for you. They will show you where the person is coming from and all of that. So that is the trump card of the pastor. The pastor appears to be very clean. He appears to be without blemish. He appears to be someone who gives a certain proper religious profile or balanced religious profile to the tickets that Bawumia is carrying. That's also what makes him stand out. The other two I mentioned. When Kwabena Japan came in, and of the other grouping, right, Kwabena Japan is very eloquent. You can't dismiss that. He took on in his campaign for presidency a certain approach, which Bawumia later on, even in his speech, appeared to have been leaning towards. Let's put Ghana first. Let's revitalize the people to make sure that the nation first and all of that. He appears to be gaining ground with that message, which will give hope to people, because from where we are today, the FPP has a lot to do to give people the hope they had in 2016, to actually gain the support that's required. So that's what tilts the scale slightly in favor of Kwabena Japan. And how is he doing so? His media interviews, he's done one with me, he's done one across the pond. You can see a lot of people have actually had recent interviews with him. Why would you think he will do that?
So who's most likely on your top 5? Most likely. I'm not saying he will get. I don't want to put him in trouble. Who's most likely?
Winston.
Most likely. Most likely.
Okay, let me give you top 2. Okay. I think when push comes to shove, it will be majority leader versus energy minister.
Okay. You
see, Evans, why
we'll do the most likely first?
Oh, no. We don't answer questions. If you go in research, you write what others have said. When it comes to the conclusion, then you add yours.
From the foregoing.
That's your conclusion is the new thing you're adding. So let me continue and then I'll add. So you see, I would add a few things to, in 2021, when we did the assessment of the ministers, Raymond, on the Super Morning Show. One of the first persons to have called me were persons closely linked to the energy minister. And they were unhappy because they said, the Bawumia be a flag bearer, possible running mate. That was in 2021.
Yeah.
And so this is NAPO. And there are a lot of people today, even within the national executive of the NPP, who owe their political future to NAPO.
Yeah.
Okay? So even within the, and that's why, for instance, somebody like NAPO stands tall amongst all the candidates. Because even within the NPP, people say, I see a demand NAPO, I see a demand NAPO, I see a demand NAPO. He may have done a thing or two. If you ask me, I think that this whole thing about, kneeling and circulating the picture was unnecessary. I don't think it's necessary. You actually feed into the perceptions of people that, you're trying to clear certain perception. Bending over backwards just to clear certain perception that people have over you. I'm not a man who thinks that you cannot be vice president because you're not married. So that's not an issue that I will talk about.
Oh, but Napo is married.
He's married. No, but I'm saying that doesn't really concern me.
We are told he's married.
Whether he's married or not, that's not.
But it came up also because others are campaigning, and so you have to.
But that's why I'm saying that
publications were actually sponsored in the papers against one other contender.
Well, I know that my father used to tell me a story about some candidates in the 70s. One goes with his wife, the other doesn't go with his wife. Yeah, but I personally do not care about that. Osei Mensah Boso. And so, Napo has been there. The moment Napo got into Parliament 2009, it's as if he knew that he wanted to be president one day. He forged a very good relationship with the media. And he did it in such a way that even sometimes when he was addressing the press in Parliament, You could get top journalists coming in just because Napo was having a press conference, another minority having a press conference. So he's really conducted himself very well. He may have his own issues. People will talk about that. But Osechi Mensah, this is the other point about Osechi Mensah, so the consensus bit, okay? Because of what he's been able to do in Parliament, he may have his own shortcomings. But this is a man who's been able to manage issues.
Because let's not get it wrong. We've never had this 137 serious, very serious. Look, at this very partisan period, this is all of the.
This is a man who can actually stand. He can stand the NDC boot for boot if it need be. If it comes to debating the NDC, you can trust. In that case, I would choose Osechi Mensah. When it comes to debating, Osechi Mensah can do that. He has the expertise to do that. And and I like your smile because he can do that, and he's done that in Parliament over and over and over again. People have brought, criteria that those who are able to deliver for Bawumia in, their primaries, that doesn't matter at all.
But if you're able to get your constituency vote, will you get my constituency vote too?
That's not an issue.
Yeah, I get your.
That's not an issue.
Even though they'll look at that, even though if it goes to my favor, I will.
Yeah, you look at that.
Even though this is the wonderful performance of Matthew Poku Prempeh in his constituency, this is elevating though.
This is the thing about Kwabena Japan. In talking about Ghana first, he admits the NPP has challenges.
Yeah. And that's to endearing him to.
Yes. Yeah. And that's something that if you are Bawumia and you want to be president, you must admit. He started by admitting it. But you need somebody who would not shy away from it. And that is why for the NPP, just like Bawumia did for Acquah, you need somebody who's not in mainstream government to take the shield. To become your shield. And that's where Kwabena Japan stands tall. Because if you're going to go ahead and keep doing, they throw them out, the sticks, they throw sticks. Because if they, you've seen the receipt guy on Twitter. You see what the receipt guy is doing. So when it comes
I'm told you was even putting on billboards for that.
So you see, that's what Kwabena Japan brings to the table. He's somebody who isn't scared to criticize the NPP and admit. And I've said before, I agree with those who have said that a lot of the thing would depend. Yes, if you're in government, your records will show. But this is the other point. Because today you have a vice president who is leading the NPP and not the sitting president coming back. And the vice president whose campaign team has been able to nicely say, it is Amoah. You need somebody so that if Bawumia cannot say these things as, the economy is bad, I can understand, but we'll do this. Kwabena Japan will say it and take them, and be able to defend Bawumia on that score. Then when you get to, I've mentioned Osechi Mensah, I've talked about Napo, I've talked about Kwabena Japan, I'm talking about Joe Wise, Joe Osewusu. See, he's a very fine gentleman.
Yeah.
Joe Osewusu is NPP through and through. It's NPP. If you want to talk about the NPP of old that you knew, that's Joe Osewusu for you. Okay, so if you want to go with somebody who would endear himself to a lot of people, and I remember in the days of the American elections of 2016, when Trump was having issues, they said he needed the conservative Republicans on his side, so you went for.
Is that the one you went to cover?
Yeah, that's the one he went in.
16 years. Yeah.
So they brought. Yeah, so they brought in Mike Pence, to do that for him. Yeah. If you need that kind of NPP people who you don't find these days, you need a Joe Osewusu to be in there, smooth gentleman. Educhum. Educhum. Now, I put in Educhum there also because of his ability to, over the last 6 years within the Ashanti region, he's been able to touch a lot of people in the Ashanti region. He's been at the forefront of the STEMization, if I could put it that way, of our education. Now, if you're a Bawumia who's focused on digitalization, you need somebody who would actually say, I am training the next crop of Ghanaians in STEM to be able to support that agenda. And that, for me, is why I think that, look, Educhum and Bawumia, if it's selected, could do a very good pair. If you ask me, my top two, I may go for a top three.
Top two.
No, I may go for a top three.
You can't change the rules. This man has done for change the rules.
Because I think that Kwabena Japan should be in there.
No, top two.
I'm making a point. Kwabena Japan should be in there.
So you have top 2.
The second
Matthew Poku, Prempe, and Jos, and Osechi Mensah should be in there.
So the 3 now.
The 3 now. Let's go and come back. No, you let's go and come back.
Top 2. I hear him say
the way he says Kwabena Japan should be in there.
Yeah.
Then Matthew Poku, Prempe, and
I think his top 2 is Osechi Mensah
and Napo.
So
we agree.
No, I mean,
agree.
sometimes you can do the permutations and 2 people chop first.
No, it's
the second.
you know, after I listen to you guys, I find it's a very difficult decision.
Yeah.
Because Bawumia's biggest challenge is creating a distance between himself and the president, between himself and the failings of this government, between himself and all the negatives that we've seen this government, of course, superintend over. To present himself as a candidate who has fresh ideas, who is going to change the status quo and bring us something new. That's his biggest challenge for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and if you go back, I'm just looking at just play history in my head because political history always guides you. If you go back into history, say let's restart to the Fourth Republic, it appears to me that one of the overriding considerations for all the presidents or the flag bearers in choosing their running mate possibly been that factor, apart from the regional origin factor, which is if you are from the south, get somebody from there, etc., which is constant. I mean, you can take that for granted. If you are from the south, somebody, if you are Ashanti, if you are in the MPP, you get somebody from Akan. But if you go to Rawlings, when we're approaching he brought in Mills. Mills was completely untainted. The time he brought in by anything government. It was completely untainted. In fact, his reputation was squeaky clean.
From teaching to IRS.
IRS, squeaky clean. He brought him in. Okay, completely untainted. Then you come to John Ajikun Kufuor. Again, when he brought Nalu Mahama, you couldn't find anything about the guy. In fact, everybody has to go on Google and trying to find out.
See, there's a contractor from
Tamale, some guy, that kind of thing. Okay, again, completely untainted by anything that you can find. Then you come to the good old professor. Again, academic.
Even in the education ministry, people struggle to find things against that.
And even before he went to education ministry, he was just a teacher. Yes. But the only thing we considered him with was IEA presidential debate, asking questions. So completely out of the blue, nothing apart from her work as a professional lecturer, right? They have Mr. Arthur, who also was plucked from Central Bank, and nothing really around him in terms of you can find anything to. So complimenting the guy who was going to go in there, who obviously had his own baggage from being associated with the incumbent government, and he came in to compliment. Bawumia himself fit the same mold. Right? He was also brought in when, of course, you had Nanado, who had been part of the government for so long, had been Attorney General, had been Foreign Affairs Minister, had all these controversies around him. And they brought somebody squeaky clean to sort of help him go. I mean, I say John Mahama, of course. John Mahama was the only one, in the midst of that is slightly different because he's been a deputy minister before. He's been a minister. But
he didn't have a lot of controversies either.
Exactly around him. But if you look, the overwhelming majority of the people I mentioned always met that criteria. But here's my argument. I actually believe if that criteria is really what all the presidential candidates themselves were using, it is even more pronounced now than ever before. Under this current.
Especially when the sitting vice president is the one running.
Exactly. Who's the chair of the economic management team, who is superintending over an economic crisis we haven't seen before. If you needed to create a distance, if that was the consideration over the period as I've just listed, then that consideration is even more pronounced now. Like you need it even more now than ever before. So, having said that, I want to throw away my 5.
I told you.
I want to throw away my 5.
Yes.
Seriously, I think it's such a crucial because you see, the middle class folks, the floating voters who will have to decide the elections, right?
Who are really not happy
with the status quo. They will want to see something substantive.
A departure for what we have
completely, and they want to see a radical running mate who they believe can create that distance, but also challenge the boss to say, look, I can speak my mind. I can tell him if he's wrong. That can sway. And I hate to agree with both of you because of, but I think when you look at it that way, Not necessarily Kwabena, because if you look at it, of course, he had his own major controversies in 2016, all the controversies.
That's party controversy.
I get it. But he's been part of the party structure and he had controversy. So, but he fits the bill somewhat. That is why
at least he still boldly says we are failing in this area. We are failing in this area.
At least the best I can say is that among everybody else, that he's the guy who fits this analysis I've done best. Right? He's the guy. Although you can find something.
Reverend?
Exactly. You know, that's what I was
saying. The cathedral.
Oh, right. Yeah, he was. Exactly.
Oh, no, but that's an issue. All
I need to do is fly and drone over the big hole.
Yeah. You see, they'll call it the most expensive manhole in the world.
New Jerusalem.
So, that is why Winston. Yeah, so I'm saying that among that list, you have Kwabena Japan fitting that bill. And then, yeah, of course, but that's why I'm open to a big surprise.
Exactly.
Because you see, as I listed the names, one thing is common. All of them surprised us.
Yeah.
Apart from John Mahama.
And you see, Evans.
All of them surprised. And if Bawumia is really focused on what I've just said and we've just come up with, I believe we may in for a surprise.
And I think that Bawumia is aware of this. Look, what I've learned over the period is that some of the names we've mentioned, you know, sometimes you mention them also because you just want them to. These are the names that the people expect.
Yeah.
But based on the discussions I've had over the period, some of the people who have been talking to me, what they tell me is that people will be surprised.
Yeah, I mean,
you people will be surprised.
I think so. I think it will be any of
you
the guys.
You will be surprised. But again, the thing about politics, Evans, is that the party could force him to take a decision.
Yeah.
That's something that can happen.
And depending on the mettle of the candidate himself.
Yeah, whether he can stand his ground and say, you know.
But the Bawumia I know.
Oh, he's in his own. He can do
it. He's a man. He's a Bawumia. He's a very, you know, he's laughing, but he's a very strong-willed person. He's a very strong-willed person. And I tell you what, if Bawumia wants to go with that candidate, he will go with that candidate. Because to have made that bold statement, that I'll be my own man with the help of God, that was a bold statement.
No, but really now, if Bawumia says this is what I want, how dare you say you don't want it?
Oh, of course.
There's anybody in the party now, you can say no to him.
And again,
he's the guy.
A candidate outside the usual would actually reduce our money.
Yes.
It will.
Yeah.
Yes. Because when Bawumia was chosen, it's almost a neutral. When Bawumia was chosen, because at the time you had
you don't know the side
you even had MND Jawula.
Yes, that's true.
You had Alima Mahama.
Yeah.
And you had Malik Al-Hassan Yakubu.
Yeah.
And Malik's problem was the Yana bid. Oh, our time is up.
Yeah, time is up.
We should check this on the Super Morning
show. No, we should have that conversation.
Yes, on the Super Morning show.
And I think for me, that actually, it just struck me like, wow, okay. We may be.
So that's what I was telling you. You know what I mean? We are in there. We've looked at
we have done a little people are dismissing the election. People have been campaigning for God knows how long. You want to come and say that they are obvious candidates.
If the party,
so they should have been hiding rather.
Yeah, hiding and clean their image over time. Enjoy the rest of your evening.